Hello everyone, and welcome to another all-English episode. I'm Reilly, and for this episode, and maybe the next one, I'm going to be talking about something a little different than normal. Instead of talking about, differences between American and Japanese culture, I'm just going to be telling a story about a bike ride I went on a little while ago. But anyway, before we get started with that, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Reilly Sullivan XD. And if you'd like to follow Sota, it's eigonosota. So without further ado, let's go. Alright, so the bike ride I'm going to talk about today is one of the times I rode the Shimanami Kaido, which is a series of bridges between Imabari in Ehime and Onomichi in Hiroshima. So we started out, I guess, on a Saturday, because it must have been, a 3-day weekend, I think. But we started out on a Saturday, and we woke up at the break of dawn, really early in the morning, because we had to catch the train from Takamatsu before 8 a.m. And when I say we, it was me, my girlfriend Yuki, my friend Aaron from Canada, but lives in Osaka, and his American girlfriend Olivia, who lives in Hiroshima, and then another two friends, Jordan and Ikumi, who both lived in Takamatsu at the time. So we get to the train, and, there was a little bit of confusion about how to buy all the tickets, whether we should buy them all together. But for the most part, the morning, despite everyone being very tired, went off without a hitch, meaning there were no problems. And we got on the train and kind of sleepily chatted for maybe 20 minutes or something, and then promptly all fell asleep for the rest of the ride. I think the whole train ride from Takamatsu to Imabari was probably something like 2 hours or somewhere around there. So we got to Imabari at around 10, maybe closer to 10:30, and got off the train. I should probably mention that I brought my bike with me. So I rode my bike to the train station in Takamatsu, and then I had to take my bike apart, or at least take the wheels off, and put it into a bag so that I could bring it on the train. So then when we got to Imabari, I took my bike out of the train and had to put it back together, put the wheels back on it, and put the handlebars on, and stuff like that. While I was doing this, Yuki realized that she forgot her wallet on the train. And so that train was headed to, I guess, Matsuyama at the end of the line in Ehime. So she tried to call the station in Matsuyama and ask them if they could, wait for her wallet or something like that. But because it was going to be another hour or so, I'm not sure, until it got there, there was really nothing we could do. So we just decided to continue with the ride. So the other 5 people all rented their bikes from the little bike rental place that was right next to the station, and we got some kind of convenience store food, like rice balls or sandwiches or something like that, and started riding. And it's the first bit of the ride is pretty pleasant. It's just a nice ride through the city for 10 minutes or so, until you get to where the ride really starts, and it's what looks like a giant ramp. It's like this long, winding bike path hill that leads up to the first bridge. So it's kind of a rude awakening, or a hard way to start the trip, because it's maybe the most difficult hill of the whole ride is just this first bridge, or this first ramp going up to the bridge. But we managed to do it, and when you get up there, you're rewarded with, your first view across the Seto, across all of the islands that will eventually get you to Onomichi. And we were doing this in November, so the weather was like perfect for bike riding. It was actually probably similar to the temperature it is now, maybe like 14 or 15 degrees or something like that. So anyway, we started riding. We rode across the first bridge or something, kind of chatting and looking at the sea and the islands and all of the birds flying overhead. And it was really beautiful. But after a while, we started to get hungry. So we stopped at a rest stop along the way on the first, big island, I guess you could say. I don't remember exactly. I think there's something like 6 or 7 islands that you cross to get to the other side. So this was probably like the third island. There's a rest stop, or a Michi no Eki, and it was completely crowded, like packed, not just full of bike riders, but there were tons of cars, maybe people from the local town, but it seemed like a lot of people were coming here just to get lunch. And there was lots of different options for food. There was some nice kind of like seafood barbecue thing that they did, but that was completely packed, like completely full of people, so we would have had to wait like an hour or something to try that. So we got like French fries and udon or something like that was our lunch. And ice cream. Even though it was in November, the weather was pretty nice, and our friend Olivia really wanted some ice cream. So we all got some ice cream and then moved on to the next landmark. And the next one was a couple of islands later. We get to like a nice beach. There's like a nice view of the beach, and there's some kind of like touristy looking buildings, like a kind of culture center or something like that, and a few shops selling food and of course ice cream. So the first thing we noticed was in kind of the parking lot. They had like cleared an area of the parking lot, and there was a big crowd watching these little kids race around in circles on those like push bikes. I'm not sure exactly what you call them. They're like, when like a little kid doesn't know how to ride a bicycle yet, maybe like 3 or 4 years old. Sometimes they have those little bicycles that don't have any pedals, so they just kind of like walk while riding on the bike, and they can like slide around. So it was that, but it was like a very intense race. Like all the kids were going as fast as they could, and the parents were like yelling and screaming and cheering on their children. Although there were like way more adults than kids, it looked like. So it looked like they were, I'm not sure because I didn't ask anybody, but it seemed like there were the kids, their parents, and then like fans or something, because there were too many people watching for it just to be the kids' parents. But anyway, we watched that for a while, and cheered, and then when it ended, we went and got more ice cream. And I think this time we got some kind of like special ice cream. That was the reason we wanted to stop for ice cream again. It was some kind of, I think it was like sea salt ice cream or something like that. And yeah, so at this point we were not too far away from the end of the first day. So the whole Shimanami route is like something like 80 kilometers. So we wanted to split that into two and stay overnight in the middle. So we got to the kind of middle island where we were going to stay for the night. And it was this really nice, like, old home that had been renovated to be like an Airbnb. So we went in there and we started making dinner. We got, I don't actually remember how we got the ingredients, but I guess at some point along the ride we had stopped at like a supermarket or something, and we got curry roux and some vegetables, and we made like Japanese style curry for dinner. And so part of the reason actually for doing this ride was that it was Yuki's birthday, so we also got her birthday cake. And yeah, so we ate curry and cake and we celebrated, and we drank some wine, I think, and we probably stayed up celebrating like a little bit too late, considering we had another 40 kilometers of bike riding to do in the morning. But eventually we all went to bed, and kind of the last thing I remember was checking my phone to see what the weather would be like tomorrow, and just seeing storm clouds all the way for the whole day. So yeah, that's a little bit of a taste of what the next episode will be like when we get to the second day of the Shimanami Kaido. Alright, so that's all for this time. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. Bye.